Ladies and gentlemen of geometry, this is 8-4 day 2. Hopefully you've done a little bit of review of the factoring and the special right triangles and the right triangle trig so you can understand what you're doing, because today we're figuring out the area of a regular polygon. And remember what regular means. It means all sides are equal, all angles are equal. So let's get right into it. So whenever you're talking about regular shapes, a couple things come up. One's called the apothem and the one is called the central angle. So the apothem in this case would be FP, that segment. So notice how it goes from the center and it goes out to the middle of the side. Okay, so it's not going all the way to the edge. Okay, that's different than PB or PA. It's going to be FP is going to be your apothem or apothem, depending on who you talk to. Central angle doesn't change. Central angle would be angle APB. Okay, that's going to be your central angle, and that's going to come up, and that's going to be kind of important when you're starting to figure stuff out. So if right now apothem, central angle, that's what you're looking at. So if I took a look at square, the square is inscribed into circle K. All the parts are, all the corners, all the vertices are touching the circle. So the center would be point K. The radius, you could say, would either be KG or KH. Those would both be a radius. The apothem is going to be KL. So my central angle is going to be GKH. So that's going to be my central angle. And so the measure of a central angle, if you think about it, there would be 4 central angles. So I would take 360 divided by 4. So my measure of my central angle is going to be 90 degrees. Okay, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take 360 divided by 4, and I'm going to get 90. So now if I take a look at the regular hexagon inscribed on the circle R, take a look, what's my radius, or what's my center? R. Radius is either going to be RK or RL. So my apothem would be RS. So my central angle is going to be KRL angle. So a central angle, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got to take 360 divided by 6. So that's going to be 60 degrees. 60 degrees is going to be handy because that's part of a special right triangle for us. So now, figuring out the regular of the area of the regular hexagon with side lengths of 5. So each side is 5. So if I think about it, this becomes 6 triangles. Okay, so if I can figure out the area of one triangle and multiply it by 6, that'll give me the area of the whole thing. So if I take a look, I've got a isosceles triangle with an altitude, something that drops straight down and is perpendicular, and my bottom is 5. So now what's my central angle? Well, my central angle, as we just figured out before, it would be 60. Okay, so that's my central angle. So when I split it to do this, that makes that 30. That makes this one 60. And that means that this side right here is going to be 2.5. Okay, because all I did was take 5 divided by 2. So I've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle where the bottom is 2.5. So if you remember, short side is 2.5. Long side is double that, so long side is going to be 5. This side is going to be 2.5 times the square root of 3. And this time I want an actual decimal, so I'm going to actually multiply times the square root of 3. So that means this is going to become 4.33. So to figure out the area of the triangle, I'm going to take 5 times that divided by 2. So the area of one triangle then is going to be 10.82, or 83 rounded. So 10.83 centimeters squared. So the area of the hexagon, I'm going to multiply that times 6. So I'm going to get 64.9 0.9519 centimeters squared. So all I did was figure out the area, multiply it by 6, and that gave me my answer. So kind of a shorter way to do it, though, would be take the apothem and the perimeter and 1/2 of it. So the perimeter times the apothem times 1/2. All right, because that's basically what I did, is taking all of this times the height divided by 2. So it's kind of a shorter way than trying to figure out the area of one triangle and multiplying it by how many triangles there are. So figure out the area of a regular triangle. So that's 4, that's 4, that's 4. So that means this is 60, this is 60. And if I drop this down and cut it in half, that makes that 30. That makes that 2. So that means my apothem, or my height here, my middle side, is going to be 2 times the square root of 3. So when I do that, I get 3.4641. That is what this height is. So my area is just going to be 4 times 3.4641 divided by 2. So my area is going to be approximately 6.9282 feet squared. So figuring out the area of a regular pentagon. Well, here, my radius is 10, but realize that makes this 10 as well, and that makes this 10, because this is actually an equilateral triangle. Okay, so if it's a pentagon, my central angle needs to be 360 divided by 5. So 360 divided by 5 is going to be 72. So now I've got a triangle where my central angle is 72. So if I cut that in half, I've got a triangle where this is 10. Sorry, this is not 10. You don't know this is 10 yet. This is 10, and this angle is 36. I need to figure out this one and this one. Well, I can do that using right triangle trig, because my hypotenuse is 10, so what I want to do is use my other functions to figure out what I'm doing. So if I take sine of 36, that will be equal to the opposite side over 10. And if I take cosine of 36, this will be x, this will be y, that will be equal to y over 10. So if I take my trig functions, so that gives me 5.87785. 5.8785. And so my height becomes cosine of 36 times 10, which is going to be, change colors, 8.09. So this is my apothem. This is the short side. If I multiply it by 2, that means this side becomes 11.7557. So I take the perimeter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I multiply that by 5. Multiply by the apothem, which is the 8.09, and divide by 2. After all that, I get 237.759. 237.759 inches squared. There's my answer. But I had to use trig. I had to use trig to figure out this side and this side, which represented here and here. So then I doubled it, figured out my perimeter, multiplied it by that, and divided by 2. So figure out the area of a regular octagon. Nice thing is they already gave me the apothem. Okay, so if I look at central angle, so that's going to be 360 divided by 8. So that's going to be 45. Now, if I go 45 divided by 2, that's going to give me 22.5. So now here's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this triangle This angle is 22.5. This side is 8. That's 90. So 90 minus 22.5, that makes this 67.5. Okay, so now using trig again, I want to figure out what this side is. I don't care what the hypotenuse is, I want to figure out what this side is. So I can take either angle, so I would take the tangent of 22.5, because this is my opposite side, equals x over 8. So I take the tangent of 22.5 times 8, so I get that to be 3.31371. So that's this short side. So I want the whole thing, so I've got to double it. So multiply by 2. I get 6.627. So that's one length. Now it's got 8 sides all the way around it. So I want to take this times 8. So my perimeter then becomes 53.0193 times 8 divided by 2. So last one, figure out the area of the regular pentagon below. So this is 9, this is also 9. So it's a pentagon, so 360 divided by 5. That's 72. So that's 9. That's that. My central angle. Okay, so my central angle is 72. But when I split that, it gets divided by 2, so that makes that 36. All right, so I've got to figure out this guy and this guy, knowing that that's 9 and that that's 36 degrees. So again, kind of like I did before, I want the sine of 36 is going to be equal to x over 9, and that's going to give me this one. Then cosine of 36 equals x over 9. That's going to give me equals y over 9. That's going to give me this one right here. So run that through your calculator. So take the sine of 36 and multiply it by 9, and that's going to give me 5.29. If I do the same thing with cosine, that's going to give me 7.28. All right, so looking back at the problem, this part right here, just that half, matches up to that. Okay, so to figure out the whole thing, I want to multiply it by 2. So 5.29 times 2, then it's a pentagon, so that's all 5 sides. So I'm going to multiply it by another 5, equals 52.9. So that's my perimeter, 52.9 centimeters. Now multiply that times 7.28. So 52.9 times 7.28. Then divide that answer by 2. So I get 385.112 divided by 2. So I'm going to get 192.556 centimeters. There's my answer. Okay, come talk to me with questions. Take your time with this. There's a lot of little tricks and a lot of little subtle details you have to pay attention to. So be careful, take your time, and do it right.